To get more into the subject, and how it affects us all, perhaps, we're joined by Tommy Steiner, a policy director at the Signal Group and from NATO international affairs expert, joining us now within Israel. Tommy, thanks for being with us on the program. Looking at China, what are they trying to do here? Look, is China really going all in right now on, as we could say it nicely, perhaps black sheep Russia and sort of hermit kingdom North Korea? Does this appear where Beijing's foreign policy is really headed?
G'day, David. Yes, but I think even more importantly, one needs to understand that this is not only Kim from North Korea and Putin from Russia. We're talking about 26 world leaders that will be descending on Beijing on Wednesday. And that comes after a series of other leaders that will be attending China on Sunday and Monday for another summit. Actually, Putin will probably stay the whole period in China. So we have an array of leaders that she will be welcoming starting on Sunday all the way through Wednesday. And this, by all standards, is unprecedented. And it will come on top of a military parade that, according to reports, is supposed to be the largest military parade China has ever seen. And China has put on some military parades. The last one was 10 years ago. But we will be watching closely to see what's up, what will be on display there.
We know they're visually stunning affairs, whether it's weaponry or just the sheer human, force presented there. So
it will be
a lot
combined.
of visuals. Look, China, to stay on this here and a little more into our interests here and maybe our viewers. There's been a lot of reports lately about Iran and China. Still, Iran really turning to China perhaps now to seek to rearm, to sort of build themselves back up after the devastating war in June. How do you describe the Chinese position, again, vis-a-vis Iran, which has not shown itself to be, a winner in the Middle East? China typically not wanting to get involved with countries that, are creating issues or are complicated like this. How does China and Iran, where does this factor in?
Well, that's an interesting question. I just need to point out one of the world leaders arriving in Beijing on Sunday is the Iranian president, who will come for the summit of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization and stay on for the military parade. So here you'll see the whole axis of upheaval in front row there in Beijing on Wednesday. But the relationship between Beijing and Tehran is complicated. There have been reports that Iran has at least reached out to China to build up its air defense and replenish some of its military losses. To tell you that this is actually happening, I can't say. I have no evidence to show that. But one needs to say, and you made a very valid point, China doesn't like to be on the losing end. No. But if there is one guiding principle for China, it is that the worst possible outcome for China is that the Iranian regime will crumble, because that could end up in a more radical regime, or even worse, a pro-Western, pro-American regime. And that is something that it definitely doesn't want, just like it doesn't want Russia to lose the war in Ukraine. That's the worst possible outcome. So you can't have it always. And the show of furls that China will put on display starting Sunday all the way through Wednesday is an important component in this attempt in the run-up to what perhaps might follow a meeting between Trump and Xi.
Do we know, Tommy?
Later in the year.
Do we know, was Israel invited to this military parade?
I haven't heard of this, so I don't know.
Okay.
And I speculate that even if we would have been invited, we would have politely turned down that invitation.
Could be Uncle Sam, as we may have there. May not have been too keen on that. Right.
Look, I'm not sure that it's because of Uncle Sam. I think that the Israeli government at this point is still at unease, to put it politely, with the Chinese position since October 7. Wow. And I don't think that there'll be easy page turning on this. Despite the attempts of the remarkable attempts by the Chinese diplomatic mission here in Israel.
Right.
They've been putting quite a lot of effort
people
into it.
maybe not recall, this was the biggest issue of the first Trump administration with Israel, was really just about Chinese relations. Those seemed to be the main points of friction we ever saw, really, between that first Trump administration.
That is true.
Yeah.
And by the way, we've seen this friction come up again when the United States applied certain pressure, according to news reports, over the Green Rail line in Jerusalem, that Chinese cars were supposed to be supporting that railway network.
They're finally building some rail here. I'd say that much. They're making improvements here. A lot of geopolitical issues at play. Tommy Steiner, thanks for being with us. I could continue all day.
Thank you for having me.
Time it makes me move on here. Thanks, Tommy.